Hello.
Hello.
So I was in California for like 16 days, and I knew I was going to be there during the last three NoFX shows. So Dropkick Murphys are playing, Boston band, and I know those guys. So they put me on the list. So I'm in the VIP line waiting to get in, and they were having problems. And there was a woman behind me. So I started talking to her, and she was all nervous. My daughter's going to be playing and I'm worried that I'm not going to get in there. So we were talking, and I let her in front of me in the line so she could get in. But you started playing just as we were walking in. So I met your mother.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, thank you for that.
She was
Um,
awesome.
yeah, I have some great parents. I'm very fortunate. I was really bummed. They said they weren't going to be able to make it. I mean, they're 76 years old, so they're very well up in years, and they still are very active. But she had some trauma happen to her leg. She had to have stitches, and then dad's feet, and this and all these bad things were happening. And they were like, "Oh, we can't make it." And I'm like, "This is the one show. Like, I would love it." And as we're playing on stage and we just started our first song, Prosthetic Lost Cause, I see them walking up like in the distance. And there's a video somewhere on YouTube. I'll send it to you, but I'm playing and you could see my face as I go, like I see them. I'm like, yay. So it made my day. Thank you for that.
She was really nice. I really enjoyed talking with, and I let her get ahead of me. That they were having
Yeah, thank
problems
you.
finding people's name. You know how it is at
Yeah,
VIP.
it's
Um,
hectic.
I'm going to just get into this with you, and if Ken joins us, he comes, and that's good. Um, Before we talk about your new album, Obscene Daydreams and Punk and Drublic some more, because that was a great show, and I want to talk about it a little more. I was more interested in the background of the band. Is everyone from LA, or are you from LA originally?
Orange County. Yeah, we're all from just South Orange County. Oh, not South Orange County, but Orange County in general. Anaheim for me. I ventured out a little bit. I moved to Riverside once, and I moved to Hollywood, but Orange County's always been a home. And same thing for the rest of the guys. They were born locally here and have lived always around here. Yeah.
I was going to ask you whereabouts, Anaheim and Orange County. I lived in LA,
Mhm.
so I know the area. I wasn't sure if you're from LA, but that makes sense. All
Yeah.
this
Well,
green.
you know the Orange Curtain. Like, Orange
Yeah.
County doesn't go to LA, and LA doesn't go to Orange County, but we do have a neutral space in Long Beach. So
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
we can all meet up in Long Beach.
What were you like when you were growing up? Did you get into music at a young age? You mentioned your parents, were they into music? Did they get you into anything, or how was that?
It was actually my brother that got me into it. My parents aren't musical like at all. I mean, well, my mom can kind of sing, she sings, but they're not. We wasn't a musical family, and my brother was. He got into punk and got a guitar, and he was like the cool guy in school. He was 4 years older than me, and I was always the nerd. So when I finally got to high school, everybody was like, "Oh, that's Bishop's little sister." And so I was kind of cool, but I'm like, you guys are mean to me, and I'm gonna go like hang out with the weirdos and the punks that my brother's hanging out with. And so my first band was actually playing drums for my brother in some like Ramon style kind of punk band. And so he kind of brought me into the whole fold of everything. And I stole my first CD I stole from him. It was Rancid, Out Come the Wolves, Green Day Dookie, and an Attic CD. And that was my
Nice.
first like venture and taste in the punk rock world. I'm like, oh, this is dangerous and weird, and I like it. And it was just always appealing to me.
How old were you when you started playing drums with him?
Like 12 or 13, probably. Yeah,
Because I know,
maybe 11, but yeah.
because I was going to ask you about Savette, because you played with Savette for a little while too, right?
Yeah.
Susie was on my show a while ago, so I kind of went over the background. Were you with the band for a long time or a short period, or
I mean, it seemed like forever back then. Probably just a couple years. Yeah.
so you did some
Uh,
touring with them?
no, I started the last gang actually 2004. Like it was a project that I had in my head, and so I did that during that time, and I just found more pleasure in doing something of my own volition and my own vision, I guess it was. So I did that instead. So
I was I
yeah,
was I
so
was
probably a
su-
couple years.
I was surprised when I did my research. I didn't know that you guys were around that long. I thought
Yeah.
Sing for the Last Supper. I thought that's when the band started, but you actually started way back then. And then I discovered that there was an album that came out in 2007. And
Yeah.
so
It was
so we
all it's all DIY kind of stuff, like just local bands, I guess, kind of thing. And we stuck around. I mean, obviously, we as the community, the band sense, because everybody's has changed since we've, first started in 2004. But when it restarted again, 2013, that's kind of like when it really, I think it was like real. That's when like the real band started in 2013.
is there any original members
No, not from the first amalgamation. No, that was it was
besides you, I
Garrett.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. I remember Garrett was our first drummer. I met him at a party, and then we had this guy Johnny on bass, and then another people, different people on bass. This girl Jenny who was rad, and just a bunch of people that kind of floated in and out. And then near the end of that, Garrett left, and we had gotten Robert Wantland, the one who's on Sing for Your Supper. And then the band ended. Like we took a break for a while. Uh, just it was plateauing. We were just arguing, just little stuff we would argue about, and it just wasn't fun anymore. And I did another project on the side of that, and Fiction Forum was the band. And when Fiction Forum fizzled out, I called up Robert again. I was like, let's start it, but let's take it seriously this time. Let's like really try to like break through, because it's really hard for local bands to get to that next level. And that's when we got lucky. We did, and haven't stopped since.
You really paid your dues trying to get it together.
Motherfucker, yes, we have. God, like I try to like not over give too many details about the story of the origin, because it's a lot. I just simplify it, 2013, we got an album, we got lucky, we're hitting the road. But yeah, it wasn't luck. It's a lot of hard work too, and believing in yourself when things are not going where you thought you'd go.
How did you get on Fat Wreck's radar?
We recorded the album Keep Them Counting with our infamous Cameron Webb. And the theory behind it was, all right, we're going to make an album that we're proud of, and that it's sonically like the best thing we've ever done in our lives. Because before that, as you probably had discovered, those albums we did before were DIY. We recorded them at like a friend's studio, or it wasn't like professional. So we're like, let's do something that is a album that's going to be in the annals of like local punk rock history. So we dropped a lot of money on that with Cameron Webb, and our goal was either we get it signed, or we made a really good album and we'll stop at the top of our game. And we emailed their inbox. That's it. They listen to stuff that gets sent to them. It's not
Hmm.
just like you have to know people. So we sent it in, and they took a listen, and it caught their ears after like the second time we sent it in, because we kept trying. It caught the ears of peeps that work there, and they passed it around the round table, and they loved it so much. Funny story was, they actually were all talking about it at their round table meeting, like, yeah, let's get it. We want them. We're going to sign them. Well, this is great. And they all kind of looked at each other. In my head, the story goes, they all looked at each other, and they're like, has anybody actually seen them live yet? Like, they didn't see us live. They just liked that first album so much. So I knew once they saw us live, they're gonna fucking love us. We got it. We got it in the bag.
So that's a good story. So you financed the whole thing yourself. Did it
Yeah.
cost you a lot of money?
Yes, it did. I had to take out personally a loan to just pay for it.
And did the label reimburse you for the
Oh
record
yeah,
when they signed you?
yeah, yeah. The label bought the record from us, so basically it didn't cost us anything. Um, in the back end, it did, but yeah. So technically, we came home.
Aside from, Sing for the Last Supper, which I was blown away when I looked on Spotify and it has almost 1 million plays. Does that blow you
Ooh,
away?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
800. Yeah, that means you probably made 20 cents, from
yeah.
Spotify.
Making that money.
But there's other
No.
songs on that record I really like Believe in the Poet and Blood Drunk. I thought the
Hmm.
recording on that was really good, and I liked it. I could see how they would sign the band. When they signed you guys, did they help you guys get on the road right away, or did you have to continue to play locally until something came up, or did you get a tour or anything back in 2018?
We got a couple. But it's not like they set up tours for us or anything like that. It was very much once we were on the label, our name was on other people's radars, like booking agents and other bands. When they, you know, Good Riddance has a new album. They're like, all right, who's on whose roster that we want to go out with, and they'll ask for submissions. And so now we're part of that team. We were part of that network. That's what really helped us. So yeah, we got a couple tours out of that. Before we got signed, I think it was before we, oh my God, my memory's bad. We went out with the Cro-Mags. Then
You
we did like
did.
Good Riddance tour. Yeah. We
Nice.
went out with Cro-Mags was the first real one. Good Riddance, Street Dogs, Bottle Rocket. We got fortunate, kind of right out the bat, doing it. But of course, that didn't stop us from doing like we still have to do local shows. We still have to like stay relevant because tours aren't happening 6 7 months out of the year. It was like 3 months out of the year, so those other times we had to like keep the ball rolling. And so we'll do like the punk rock food drive. We're doing it again this year. We did that back then too. Or we'll do like a local show, like a weekender as we call them, Vegas, Long Beach, and
Yeah.
San Diego. Always working, never trying to rest on our laurels.
So were most of your tours regional at that point with the Street Dogs and Cro-Mags? Were they regional tours or did you go on a national tour?
No, Cro-Mags work like West Coast, but Street Dogs kind of took us out a little bit more towards like Colorado. We went there. We started to branch out as a West Coast band. Even if you're a big West Coast band, it's still hard to get all the way to the East Coast.
Yeah.
So it's you always take those like West Coast runs is really easy, and then the other direction, the L as I call it. So it's like Washington and down, and then San Diego to like Arizona, New Mexico, and back. Like that's a really easy run, and we did that several times and built up some good bases there, and slowly branched out. Like Teenage Bottle Rocket's more Midwest band, so it was great to go out with them and like get their fans that haven't seen us yet, because they're not doing shows on the West Coast. I mean, these fans aren't from the West Coast, so we got to reach them.
I think you work with Landon now, right? Landon Gale?
Dave Covert.
Dave. Oh, Dave.
But yeah, I got Covert booking.
Do you know Landon?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because he came to Boston and went to school here, and I was
All right.
just had moved back here from California in the late 90s, and I got to know him. He's a decent guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that
yeah.
his company?
I think it's Dave's company, and Landon works for Dave.
Nice,
If I'm not
nice.
mistaken, I think that's how it is. Yeah.
I saw his name on your website, so I figured I'd ask you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so keep them counting kind of laid down the groundwork for you guys. And then I guess there were, the pandemic, I think that affected you guys. I read somewhere where you were ready to like do something and you got stopped and you couldn't and you ran into a writer's block or can you talk about what happened between keep them counting and noise, noise, noise?
Yeah, we were wanted to write a second album, and for me, my thing is I can't write really quick. I can't put out songs right after another. It's a really long process for me. So when we had to do a second album, I was worried like I don't know how long this is going to take us. And Cameron Webb joked like, "Oh, the Beatles put an album out every year." I'm like, "That's the fucking Beatles. Like they can't I can't write like that. Jesus Christ." So
Twice a
I
year,
was
some
nervous.
years.
Right. No, thank you. But so the pandemic happened, and it allowed us to not be so stressed out and focus on writing instead of touring. Because our kind of our one of our main crutches when we first started was we wanted to hit the road so much and just get our name out there that we didn't pay attention to like writing. And so when we were like a new album was supposed to come out, we're like, oh, we don't have anything. We need to write. COVID happened. We practiced in my it used to be my old place, a garage outside, and we all were like in our separate corners. And it was kind of us immediate family, so we didn't mind being next to each other.
Yeah.
And we would be honest, like if somebody's sick, we're like, okay, let's we'll hold off for a couple weeks. And so we were able to write. COVID allowed us that opportunity. We took something really shitty going on in the world and made it work for us. And right when the pandemic kind of was starting to let up and it was a little bit safer, we were able to go back into the studio with this material and then record Noise, Noise, Noise. And then the world opened up even more and touring started to happen. And we released the album, when the world started to open up and we could really take advantage of that first shot of adrenaline that everybody kind of wanted of music and art and shows. And we took full advantage of that with Noise, Noise, Noise.
Before I ask you about the recording for that, can you talk about your songwriting process? Do you? I'm sure you probably write all the lyrics. Do you write the
Mhm.
music too, or do you write the music? And if you do, how do you write it?
Sometimes
I see a
it's a
piano
collaboration.
behind you.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's just to make me look classy. No, for Noise and especially this last one. Oh, okay, the first album, I keep them counting. A lot of songs were like stuck in my head that I've had for a while, and then they helped me like structure it better, and Cameron did too. But for Noise, really, and Obscene Daydreams, I wanted to have less control because it's always better for songwriters to let go more. And like, I wanted them to create a palette for me to jump off of. And so, a really common thread of how we write music is the three guys will jam and write and get a bass hook or a rhythm part or something that's the build. And they'll kind of write a rough structure of like a verse and a chorus. And if I hear anything or if I see anything that I can just snag onto, that I'm like, oh, I hear a really good hook right here, or whatever, then I'll go, let's work on this song. Let's develop this song.
Yeah.
Um, so technically we write a lot, but I don't really write a lot of songs or lyrics to it because they'll jam on a bunch of different songs. And I'm just like, nope, next, nope, next. I'm like, oh, this was good. And then we'll start to just pile on this and that to that one song and kind of just let it develop into where it's going. And we did that for Noise, and we definitely did that for Obscene Daydreams, except we did it a lot faster, which was
So you
crazy.
do you have like how do you come up with the lyrics? Are they all do you have a bunch of poems or whatever, and then you just wait for the right situation? I mean, how do you or do you write them right in the studio with the rehearsal space with the band?
Mm, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Somewhere in the weird parts of my brain. I do have an email account that I send, like my own lyric account, where if I have an idea, and because I hear it on the radio or hear it in a podcast or on TV, I'm like, oh, that's a good line, and then I'll send it to myself, and then maybe I'll search through these lines that I like and go, what's this feeling? The song is like sludgy and like, okay, like okay, for instance, we did that dark song in the last album, Intelligence is a Plague, just the and that song was really sludgy and dark. And I remember that line that I wrote to myself, intelligence is a plague. And I was like, yeah, let's go down that. What does that mean? Intelligence is a plague, like scientists and are shunned and nobody believes like facts and they want to just be swept up in the sideshow that is it that's all of it. So yeah, I guess I'll just find like a little hook, a little riff that I can really sink my teeth into, and then just rip that open and see where does that go? Where does that lead?
That's interesting. I said poems, but I mean, some writers have a little
Yeah, yeah,
book
yeah.
with their lines in it or
They
whatever.
do.
I didn't know
Yeah,
how I was
I'm.
just,
I do that too. A lot of some things that trigger my are just from the most random sources, like Star Trek, an episode of Star Trek or whatever, or I'll overhear a line in a song that's not the actual line, but what I hear in my head is like, I like that better, and I wish I could write. I'm gonna write a song that line in my head is, and go for that. Like, there's an Against Me song on uh Rats. Oh, God, what's that song? It's all I can feel. Fuck, it's gonna drive me crazy. I was drunk on you, so very stonefully compelled. I'm not sure I ever was. There's a line that I kind of manipulated into. I wish that I could say that I was still haunted. That's what I heard her say. Um, And I
Interesting.
like that. And then I kind of explored more like what that means to me. And that song became Vacant Eyes on Obscene Daydreams.
I love when writers will come out and say they were influenced by another person's music. Why not?
100%.
Why
Yeah.
not? Right? Um, on Noise, 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 there was kind of a little ska feel going on. But
Hmm.
now when I saw you guys, it was punk rock. I mean, did you go through a phase or you just kind of like an extended set? Maybe there would have been more of a ska influence to it.
Well, I mean, it's funny. A lot of people have been saying this last album is like more rock forward and punk and less ska, but it's got this, in my opinion, it's got the same amount of like upticks and funk in it, but it's just done in a different way where you don't recognize it because it's not the obvious ska or the obvious reggae. Like
Hmm.
the bridge of Electric Avenue, that is total ska, but it's like mushed in between rock. So people don't consider it a ska song. It's a rock song. And Rumors is like this weird funk, almost funk ska thing. I don't even know how to describe that like rhythm. But I'm like, that's not punk, that's not rock, it's something different. So it's like all these elements that I think the last album had of like ska and reggae are still here, but they're just blended a lot better, where it's less obvious.
That's well put. I like the way you said that. A reviewer for New Noise magazine says that this is the band's most impressive album yet. That's a brilliant collection of fast, smart, and frenetic punk rock. They also note that the band has channeled their anger into some of their savviest lyrics yet. I wish I would have wrote that. And then the songs are smart and tough and provoking. I like a bunch of songs on the record, and I heard a bunch of them live. In fact, uh, the ones I really like, Madness, Electric Avenue, Berlin to Rome, and the NRA Back to School song. I'm going to ask you about that first because I know where you're coming
Yeah.
from with that.
Oh yeah.
So you must really have felt that to make you write that song.
God, yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of nuance in that song. It's pretty obvious that where my feeling is on that. Um it's just I mean, it's still there to a point where it just becomes so numb and we're so used to this
Yeah.
and you know, I think that that song kind of started from there was that meme that was going around on like TikTok and Instagram of like, you know, tell me you're a, tell me you're a blonde without telling me you're a blonde, or like tell me you like, you know, cars without telling me you like cars. Like it was a meme. And I
Yeah.
just was like, the NRA is a cult, and it's like, tell me you're in a cult without telling me that you're in a cult. It's like, oh, I'm subscribed to the NRA. I'm like, then you're in a cult. Like, and that thought was like just trickled down to everything. It's like, oh, and then I saw also like schools are now developing like, those shooter safe booths where you pull it out of the corner and there's a teacher demonstrating it. And like, here, kids, here's we get pull it out and it locks into place and it's safety. I'm like, this shouldn't be normal. Like, that
No.
shouldn't be like a back to school sale with like bullet vests and stuff. And it's just that's kind of like, and I thought that line was rather witty, NRA back to school. And I was like, okay, let's just go down this rabbit hole.
I thought that song is brilliant.
Thank you.
When I saw you live, I had perfect timing and I recorded a video of Madness right when you went into the chorus. I posted it on TikTok. I mean, I'll tell you what my TikTok page is that you can watch it. But I didn't know much about the band other than hearing a few songs here and there. And when I saw you guys, I was blown away. And that's why I got in touch with your publicist or somebody,
Thank you.
someone gave me Vanessa's name because I was like, I want to talk to this band because I didn't know much about this band and I thought you guys were great. Talk about what it was like for you to be part of that whole No FX last three shows with all those you guys were on an unbelievable. I thought the lineup was the best on that first show because the
Yeah.
Buzzcocks and DOA.
Yeah.
What was it like for you?
Um, it's just been we've kind of all said this, like it didn't hit us at the show. We're like, yep, we're doing our thing that we've been used to. We've been doing this for the last, 5, 6 years, festivals, playing in front of big shows, timing the clock, getting your set list down, knowing when to jump, when not to jump, when to get the crowd. Like we're doing our jobs and we're clocking in and we're enjoying our jobs for the day. And then we're like, we're gonna realize in like 5 years, like, wow, this was like really special. And that's kind of how it is. Like when it was happening, it was we had so much confidence. We're like, we're doing this. It's awesome. I always get nervous before every show, whether it be a big show, small show, any show. I get nervous. So I was nervous before, but as soon as we're on stage, I'm like, oh, this is so easy and we got this. And I wasn't, emotional, anything at all throughout the whole weekend. And of course, the last song that NoFX plays, I was like, I'm fine. This is bittersweet, but this is, all good things. And I look over and I see Chesky from Codefendants, and his eyes are welling up. He's not crying yet, but they're welling up. And he's on his three-piece suit, looking all manly with tears in his eyes. And I'm like, no. And I just lose it from there. I started crying, and I just realized, like, this is the last time I'm going to see these people at the same time. I mean everybody, not just like Fat Mike and Melvin and everybody and El Jefe, like, and Smelly, but I mean the crew, the stagehands, like, um, you know, everybody. My dog Ozzy, that is, he's part of the crew too, um, and just Kathy's dog, and everybody, like the sound people, stage people, everything. And I'm like, this is the last time I'm going to see this touring family. When we went to NoFX, Europe, over last spring or summer. Europe's always hard. You always feel, it's always hard for me. I feel very homesick, and it's hard around like the third week mark. I get really antsy. But seeing these people over and over again um, really made me feel comforted. And so they had a huge part of my mental health. And so I'm like, this is the last time I'm going to see them. And I definitely cried. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a family atmosphere around.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because, Fat Mike's from here. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
Massachusetts. He grew up in Boston, but he moved to California. And I've seen that happen with so many people. And he just built this whole beautiful family.
Yeah.
And were you there all 3 nights?
I wasn't able to do the second night. I had to do my day job, so I couldn't get off. But I was there the first. Obviously, we played, and then the last night.
Yeah, you guys, I thought you guys, getting back to you, because you guys were fantastic that day. I really enjoyed it. You got a great rhythm section, and Ken
Mm.
really is a great guitar player. Talk about your band and what it's like playing with those guys.
Uh, I I just treasure them. We all get along so well, so copacetic. I mean, there's a bunch of different style of bands out there that in the punk rock world and what they do. There's silly, there's like snotty, there's and we tend to really agree with each other. When we're on stage and we're playing, we're not there to just like have a good time and look cool, like sound good. Like this means so much to us. The words that we create and this energy in this moment is so special, and we take it very seriously. And but at the same time, we're not like too serious about it. We're enjoying it. We all on the same headspace. And touring is the easiest ever with them. This last couple tours, we've really found a good rhythm to ourselves. We're not a party band. We're not like some crazy thrash, like, let's do some weird shit and make something silly. I'm like, let's go to bed after the show. 1 o'clock in the morning is usually when we hit the road or hit the bed. Uh, a good staple for us is we always watch South Park, go to bed, it makes us feel comfortable. And then, a couple of us wake up to go to the gym, we eat healthy, and then we try to find like a smoothie spot so we can have like acai bowls. Like, we're not teenagers doing this. We're trying to take this as serious as we can. It's an opportunity that we have that's very rare, and we're not going to blow it by burning ourselves out.
You appear to be a lot younger than I'm sure you're not old,
Yeah.
but I
My
didn't.
favorite my favorite tour was when we went on tour with the Gimmies, because they're older than us,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like we're like, we're going to bed, we're having tea time, and we're like, yay, old people, we're same, let's do it. Old people tour for life.
That's awesome. So what's the plan now that the record just came out in September? Is there a plan for a tour, or what's next?
Yeah, we've got November 20th. We fly out for Mexico. We've never been. We were supposed to go before the pandemic, and then the borders closed literally like 2 days before we were supposed to drive there. Thank God, because we would have gotten stuck. But we're gonna go to Mexico finally. We got 5 days. We've got Tecate, Guadalajara, Aguascalientes, Mexico City, and Guadalajara. And then in spring, we'll be announcing a tour. We haven't solidified it yet, so we'll talk about that later. But we are going to do a tour then as well. And we're just, yeah, we want to hit the road more than ever with this album because we genuinely think this is like the best stuff we've ever done, and I really want to get it out there.
I
I think people are
agree.
going to get hooked to it.
I agree. I see Madness becoming a big song. I do. It's like
Oof.
it's excellent, you know. And you guys can deliver the goods live too. Um, I'm just curious, do you listen to a lot of music other than your own music? What do you listen to?
Yeah, it's funny. The older I get, the less I listen to music because I'm surrounded by it, and it's very exhausting mentally and emotionally. So like if I when I'm driving home, I'll listen to like NPR or I'll put like some the episode of Star Trek and just listen to it in the background. But I music is always the classics. Like I go back to what my core is lately. What makes me happy. Um, I'll listen to like Alkaline Trio, Good Morning. I love that album. It just makes me so good, and it's good for vocal warm up. So I
Mm.
always sing along to usually male bands. Um, and I'll listen to Life Won't Wait, Won't Make Me Happy. I kind of got back into like a global threat again because I
Oh
kind of fell
wow.
out. Yeah, just something nasty and snotty. Um, and then I just want to feel good, and I want something that makes me like just my whole body like jam. So I'll listen to like Mayor Hawthorne or something like funky um, or just like some oh my God, my brain went away. Uh, Keys in the Soul of Life. Stevie Wonder. Wow, Jesus Christ, Brenna.
Stevie Wonder. Okay,
Yeah.
that came out of left field. That's good though.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
good.
that song, A Boy is Born in Hot Mississippi. Like that song hits. Like it's
Do you
so
have a hard
good.
time not singing all the time? You have such a great voice. Do you always want to sing? You've sang like 4 or 5 times in the last half hour. So,
I do. I really do. I love singing. That brings me joy. Behind the mask that we all have, our ego and our id, I don't have a lot of high respect for myself. It's come from an early age. It was just something that I've always dealt with and battled through. And when I was very young, like preteen, I got made fun of really hard for my voice in like elementary school because kids will pick on anything. And for me, it was my low voice.
huh.
And yeah, I would come home crying, and my parents felt so bad. The kids they can't do anything; they just have to let me feel bad and tell me it's okay. But I hated my voice. I didn't talk. I was very quiet. I was so like embarrassed, and I just didn't like it. And then one day I was hanging out with my best friend Kate, who the song Electric Avenue is about. And I was
Oh,
hanging out with Kate, and I was singing the Misfits because that's in my key range. And uh, her boyfriend at the time like looked back, and he's like, "You have a really good voice." And I was like, "Ew, gross, really? No, I'm terrible at everything." And then well, maybe I should listen to him. And then I started sing backups in civet, and I kind of learned how where notes are supposed to live, and like, oh, okay, so that's a harmony. Oh, that's a harmony, and then a third and a fifth, and then I I will admit it. I can take uh what's the word opposite of criticism? Compliments. I can take compliments. I'm learning, so I can tell myself that I am a good singer, and I enjoy doing something that I'm good at. I really do. There's not a lot of stuff I feel confident in, but I really do feel confident for that, and it gives me a lot of source of strength.
I'm confident in you too. I think you're awesome. Thank
Oh,
you so much for
mm,
talking to me.
yeah.
I really love your band. I mean, I feel like I came to the party late, but I feel like the party's going to last a while.
Oh,
So,
this party is not stopping because the last gang party don't stop.
oh, that's the last thing I wanted to ask you. The last gang. What's
Yeah.
how did you come up with the name?
Really? I'll give you a clue. My favorite band is
Oh, wow. Okay,
so
cool.
to sing for the
Nice.
sixth time on this. I love that song. Everybody's looking for the lost gang in town. I
You
love
didn't
that
mention the
album.
Clash, so you never
Yeah,
mentioned them, so I didn't put two and two
love them.
together, but now
Love
I
them.
get it. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot. Appreciate you coming
yeah.
on.
Appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much.
All right, see ya.
Bye.